really risky spot, but for now, it seems like they're getting away with it.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, Turkey still has some players outside there. That's the Turkish side of the Pochinki drop that is making their way on over. But it's pretty evenly split right now. As I was saying, somewhat of a 50-50 split, maybe a little more circle control in terms or in favor of Turkey right now. But overall, I would say it's pretty. It's pretty even. Everyone is getting lined up on their fortifications, on their high ground riches, and trying to see what they can see. But I would still expect there's going to be another circle or two to go before we get the proper brawl down.
Yeah, I think the next one is going to decide which team is the sort of the attack and defense. Right?
Yeah.
You generally see that the circle, at least around phase 3, will if it shifts up towards shooting range hill, then Turkey, you need to set up that front line, and Finland need to break through. But it's that phase 4 when you get this sort of the manic fight, the huge gunfight that pretty much decides the game.
2-0, looking over the top. Can't see anyone. That's impressive. I feel like there were more people than trees and where he looked into, but didn't get eyes on anything. Let's see. And yep, I think we know now that Finland is the defending team. Now you have your stack of 6 players down by cube without vehicles. How do you get those? Like, how do you make sure they don't end up falling behind enemy lines? Or maybe do you now kind of want them to go behind enemy lines and say, if you just keep running, then maybe they won't notice you?
It could be like your special forces, right, where they just sneak up behind the Turkish roster, and then when that big engagement does happen, maybe they could strike behind and get a couple of kills. But I'm looking for Turkey to try and take control of the north here, because there's a way onto the sort of the western hill that we have that Finland has a lot of control of. You can push it quite easily from the north. So we see that they're sort of pivoting around this position right here. If they can get a lot of players here and start pushing onto the hill, then they can flip it around, right? They can take control of the high ground, which Finland doesn't have a lot of players on because of that group we saw to the east. If they can get control, they can flip it, and then they can be the defense.
Rupture, sending it full speed forward alongside She Created and Apocalypse. They're trying to take control of the bunker. It makes sense. Get some sort of safe space close to your opponents. Now shots being fired, and I mean, we can only keep them apart for so long. These are both very technical teams, but also for the most part, probably 2 of the most aggressive nations when it comes to these type of tournaments. They want to get it done with, they want to get it over with fast. And I think if you're Finland, I mean, that 3-0, or I should say 0-3 from last season is still kind of in the back of their head. So they want to go out and win this.
Yeah, this first game sort of sets the tone for the whole series, right? If you can sort of prove that you're not to be messed with, you're not to be, not to be trifled with, prove you're great in a gunfight here. I mean, obviously, both these teams know, right? They know the other team's stacked. But if you just roll over the other team in map 1, then suddenly you have all that confidence, you have all that momentum that you could bring into the rest of the series. So it's really important for Finland to get this first map for me.
Yeah, exactly. Airplane area is still being played by the Turkish team. And you can see Tavo and the others are like, nope, we know where they are now. Let's not run up there. And also, I saw a couple of Mosins. I haven't really seen those guns too much in play yet. Circle still on top of Finland, but I do feel like Turkey has there's stuff that Turkey can do from the positions that they have so far.
Yeah, the big problem for Turkey right now is that valley that Finland has control of, sort of where we're looking right now, because crossing from there to the western side is so difficult. They need to try and clear it out before they even have a chance of getting across, and then they're getting shot at from all the people on the hill. So I'm looking for that group on the north that we spoke about had a way onto the hill. I want to see them get aggressive, them try and take a gunfight and try and take control of the high ground.
Sakura. Yeah, that's info. I was going to say that's info that there are people down there, but they're going to start shooting at some point soon, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Rip finds the first. We haven't had a single flush yet, and I would assume the rest could potentially be coming in there as well, but maybe we have now found the place that this fight is going to go down.
Yeah, there are still like pot shots going off on the eastern side, but this is going to be the important fight, right? This is the one that will pretty much decide the game. And Apocalypse started off early. They've already got a knock on the hill. So if Turkey can push on that, if Turkey can clear off this hill, suddenly that group in the valley of Finland that was giving them so much map control was at a massive disadvantage.
Mikas is looking over. They know that there are people down there. They're leaving now, though. So, yep, that's good info to give across. Again, remember, Mikas is the captain on the Turkish team. You have 10,000 days on the other side doing the captain for Turkey. So a lot of info given across. Nothing he has to feed to captains. Then feed to players. You can say it straight to them, guys. They have moved away from the compound. Let's just hold this flank now.
And the first kill of the series goes towards Turkey with Dog managing to flush out one of the Finnish players. But that one kill's advantage is not really going to be big. They need to try and turn it into 3 or 4 because they have that map control disadvantage. This fight now is starting to build up to the crescendo on this western edge. As you can see how congested it's getting. There's probably like 6 or 7 Turkish players within about 50 meters of each other now. So I think they need to start the engagement sooner rather than later, right? Because if they leave it later and the circle comes south, they kind of get rushed into taking the gunfight. But if they can start getting these pot shots, as BSD's got on Mikaz, if they can start taking down those players one by one now, then it becomes so much easier to roll over them later on.
Yeah, I'd have to think so. Mikaz went down as we saw. Captain under fire, needs a medic. I'm sure he has his dedicated medics. I remember when we saw Waggy Jaggy, captain for Denmark last season, or was it the season before, how he, I think it was the season before last season, how he literally had like a designated driver. He had his own little private squad to run around and help him out. Oh, you need a nade, sir? Oh, sorry, here's your grenade. Here's your grenade. He had his little crew of minions that he could boss around. That was kind of interesting.
It definitely feels like there's more strategy than you'd think, right? I mean, it's a fun game mode first off, but you can see, but just by looking at the map, you can see that these teams have a plan in mind. You know, they have that sort of front line that they're doing. I mean, look how many Finnish players are on those west. And I spoke about how if the circle came south, that Turkey were going to get rushed, and this is a great. This is pretty much a great opportunity now for Finland to win out of the game, and that is a very Finnish kill feed so far.
Yeah, they need to hold off well here. The push has come over the top side. And as you can see, a lot of Finnish players are coming up to try and kind of fortify this this flank that the Turk is trying to put on. But as you said in the beginning, I mean, we lose 3 or 4 Turkish players instantly. That just takes so much of the air out of the balloon in terms of them having the kind of spearhead opportunity to push forward.
That's a nice nade for BSD, taking down one of the biggest players on the Finnish roster. But they need to start doing more than that. They need to start getting like 4 or 5 knocks down that they can then push off. Because if Finland's able to hold this hilltop, hold the Alamo, then they're going to be in such a tough position for Turkey because they're getting pushed by that blue zone now, right? They have basically a minute and a half to get there.
Yeah, they need to start moving. It's phase 5. It's going to start hurting. If you get knocked out here, you cannot get rest either. Turkey seems like they have managed to corner off a lot of these Finnish players down the valley. All they needed was to get a foot inside, and now they're starting to do damage. It is still going both ways, and remember, the feed that you're seeing in the middle, the tracker, is not counting knocked players, so it could be way more uneven than what it looks like right now. Finland losing players all over the place.
Yeah, Turkey was just able to split in half that front line and isolate that group on the west, and they've just done so much damage. Suddenly a 10-kill lead in their favor. A lovely push by Turkey there. And I think now it becomes so difficult from Finland to turn around that man disadvantage.
Like a knife through warm butter. They just sent it full speed forward. Initially, it looked like Finland had what it took to hold off. But once Turkey was given control of the hilltop, the Finnish players just couldn't really hold up against it. And they're just continuing this, like the full-on sprint forward. And it's been a while now since I've seen a Finnish kill. There's lasers coming in and the only targets of Finnish players.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it's damage control now. Can you try and at least get like 2-for-1 trades before you go down? And I mean, and no one's getting 1-for-1 trades before they go down right now. Turkey's just slaughtering the Finnish roster. And maybe this is a sign of things to come because Turkey didn't lose a map in Nations Royale Season 2. They literally won every map they played. And it kind of feels like the same Turkey's back. You know? They're back to try and win for the 3rd time in a row.
This is impressive. Now, there are a few kills coming in for the Finns, but with every single kill the Turkish get, the Finnish players need something like 4 or 5 to even it out. Let's see, 7 to 22. I think those numbers are somewhere around correct. There are a few knock players here and there, but this should go in the favor of the Turkish team. And I gotta say, I mean, as I said before, I thought Finland actually had it when they initially started holding up and kind of fortifying the hilltop position. It just, in a matter of seconds, they just turned on a dime.
Yeah, Finland, they had that big group that went sort of to the northwestern edge, right? They pushed down the hill and tried to flank the Turkish roster. And I kind of feel like they left the hill a bit exposed. And Turkey recognized that and literally just walked straight up. They took control of the high ground and just started shooting down and taking out that western group of Finland. So I think maybe a bit of over-aggression from the Finnish roster there. A bit of a... not recognizing the sort of the context of the fight, because Turkey had to make that push. They had to push up the hill. If Finland could have just held control at the top, then maybe it could have gone the other way around.
They did so extremely well as well. Noki, you're on your own. Is he going to die to blue? Deny points! Deny points! I like the idea. Might as well get it over with as fast as you can. Finland falls to Turkey. Finland had the circles, but Turkey had the aggression needed to